Welcome, horror fam, to HHN 365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm here with my co-host Duff.
Hey, guys.
And my producer Nico.
Hey, howdy, hey.
Oh, my, that was deep.
It went on for a little bit, too. As always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at HHN365, and you can always leave us a voicemail at 407-906-3405. On today's show, we'll begin a series we'll try to continue through the year, updating you on HHN Hollywood with Jonathan from the Hauntline on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. How's it going, Jonathan?
Hey, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on the show. It's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. We're speculating here in California, which is not bad at all.
Yeah. No, after the spec map we got, things were a little concerning about any kind of speculation we'd have about you guys. So I'm excited to have you on, but also to be able to talk about this under the circumstances.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks again, guys. I'm excited to get into this.
Yeah, it's been a while since we talked to. I know we had you on. What was it? When we were talking, basically when we got canceled and you guys got canceled, and it was just we kind of had you on to be sad, and then now it's good to kind of have you on to talk about some exciting stuff and speculate about, because it's all looking good.
Absolutely, yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So before we get to the main segment, where it's mostly going to be kind of talking about Hollywood speculation, we do have a little bit of news, don't we, Duff?
We do, and I think congratulations are in order as scare actors are receiving their casting emails for HHN Orlando. So I think most, if not all, of the scare actors who are being casted in Orlando have found out they are cast. So congratulations, and we are looking forward to seeing you in several months.
Oh, that's got to feel good.
Oh, I know, right? Especially a lot of people have been doing it for years. It's something they really look forward to every year, like us going to the event. And they had a year where a lot of them, didn't get to do it because, we got to go see HHN Light, but the scare actor staffing was a lot less than usual. So a lot of them did not get the opportunity to enjoy it like they usually would. So excited for everyone, especially those who missed a year, to find out they're going back.
I know it's kind of hard to tell, but does it kind of seem like they're back to kind of normal staffing with the amount of people who are kind of saying
I don't know. I'd say all the usual suspects, I guess you'd say, on social media. You've seen posts about it, so
okay.
I don't know what it means for normal staffing, but I guess we can kind of infer that yes.
Seems like we're kind of going back to normal. That is good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's hop right into it. Duff, where do you want to start here in the kind of the journey that the Hollywood speculation has taken throughout the season?
So we kind of laid this out as a story because that's what the Hollywood speculation has been so far this year is a fun story where we started with heartbreak and sorrow, and maybe things are starting to look better now. And that all started when Horror Night Nightmares released their Hollywood speculation map. Which, if you don't remember, included 2 houses and 1 scare zone, the best scare zone name of all time, the Gauntlet Zone. Which Mike suggested was just American Ninja Warriors.
American Gladiators.
I'm sorry. I just mixed 2 shows together. That's okay. But yeah, no, that was kind of devastating is not the word. Disappointing is probably the word. How did you feel about it, Jonathan?
It kind of made sense to me from a standpoint of where we were at that time in California. When I saw the map and after seeing, I guess you can call it the success of HHN Light in Orlando, it made perfect sense to me to have kind of a reduced event, especially considering that Universal Hollywood was closed. I mean, for a year, that's billions of dollars in loss in revenue that they didn't make. So when I saw that as the speculation, I figured, you know what, that makes the most sense. You have the park open, and then you have a couple of mazes open, mazes that stayed up since, March, April of last year. I guess probably like summer last year is when they first started popping up. So it makes perfect sense. Keep those up, open it up to the public, have them go through the rides and through the mazes during the day, very much like HHN Light. But I was also kind of, it was a little bittersweet too, because I'm like, I miss Horror Nights as an event as a whole. But if it's between no event at all and an HHN Light style event, I would take the HHN Light any day.
Oh yeah, of course. And I think we said as much on the show where, it's not the best decision in the minds of HHN fans for what they want. But
Right.
I mean, you're going to take that over nothing every day of the week. Like,
Right.
I was very happy we got HHN Light. So I'm sure it'd be the same for you guys if that were to happen.
Totally. Yeah.
However, it seems that that this might not be the case, and you might be getting a little bit more than this. And I think the first time we saw anything from that made it feel more real was that survey that everyone has now leaked out, basically saying that what did we talk about this 2 weeks ago on the show?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
Saying that you would indeed have 6 houses as well as a terror tram. And they said it like a matter of fact way, not as a if we had it. So, that got people thinking that maybe the spec map isn't completely accurate yet.
Right. Yeah. It seemed like it was the direction that they were heading for a while, but then, especially now with things kind of opening up in California, I mean, hell, we've got Disneyland that is opening up. We've got Knott's that's opening up. We've got Universal that's pretty much already open. Again, back in early 2021, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. HHN Light for Hollywood. But now that things are actually starting to get rolling, it makes perfect sense for them to start planning for a bigger event that actually includes mazes. And, the Terror Tram, I'm not the biggest fan of the Terror Tram myself. However, it also makes sense to kind of like spice up the event. If they're only giving us 6 mazes, why not throw the Terror Tram in there to mix it all up and to have more of a people eater to get crowds going toward it? Because that's like a 20-minute experience in and of itself. But yeah, and things are definitely heading in that direction into terms of like construction that's happening at Horror Nights. We're seeing black tents pop up in a couple of different locations. So things are looking good. And I didn't think, we'd be saying that, but here we are. We're speculating about 6 mazes plus the Terror Tram. Sounds like an old school Halloween Horror Nights event to me, which is really awesome.
Yeah, we're definitely excited about the possibility of this happening. Obviously, none of it's official yet. I think Mike's going to book a flight tonight, right, Mike?
Oh, I wish. I would love to. Yeah, no, Duff was earlier before we started recording. Apparently, they're $175 right now from Orlando in that.
Wow.
September.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
pretty good deal for you there. Pretty good deal.
Yeah. It's good to see the return of the, well, at least the speculation of the return of the Terror Tram. It's been gone for how many years, Jonathan?
It only left us in 2019.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just one season. That was the first year that we had without it. Yeah, but it's a fan favorite. People love it. I kind of felt that it started getting a little repetitive. However, it's still a fun time. My favorite thing about it is that you get to walk right by the Bates Motel and then the Bates house. You walk through the War of the Worlds sets, which are always pretty, eye-catching. They're, highly detailed areas. And it's like, wow, this is film history. You're on the back lot kind of a deal. But yeah, so it's exciting to see it come back. And again, to me, from a fiscal standpoint, it makes perfect sense too, because a lot of the sets are already built. You're kind of just walking a predetermined path that's on the Terror Tram. And they have, for the most part, a lot of like little vignettes, kind of like what they do in Horror Nights Orlando with you guys with your scare zones, where they have like, murders and all what have you, little show moments. That's basically what encompasses the Terror Tram. So you've got pre-built sets, you've got little show moments that they can have throughout the route. So it makes perfect sense to have it come back.
Yeah, I'm excited that it's coming back. Like you said, it's not my favorite thing. I've only done it once, but it doesn't feel fully Horror Nights. It feels more of like a very local haunt, kind of in style, not in quality, but in style. But it's so unique that it's something that I would look forward to anytime I head out there. So I was sad to see it go when that was announced for 2019, and I would be very happy to see it come back, just so I can experience something so different from anything we have over here.
Definitely, and plus this year too. So we used to have on the back lot right before the Bates Motel, we had the set from the How the Grinch Stole Christmas movie that came out in the 2000s. And now that's gone. They've completely demolished that. So there's a open area behind the Bates Motel that to me would make perfect sense to make into like another little gauntlet style scare zone / outdoor maze. So they can really incorporate that area into the Terror Tram a little bit more, because before you would just kind of walk past that set and it wouldn't really make sense thematically, in 2017, it was the Titans of Terror Tram. So they had Chucky out there, but then you're walking past Whoville, it's kind of weird. But now that's gone. And so now I'm saying, well, cool. If we get the Terror Tram back, I hope they use that area to give us kind of more opportunities to get scared. Because my biggest feeling for the Terror Tram too was that the way that they can spice it up is adding more maze-like portions to it, where you have performers hiding in different, around different corners or what have you, so that it's not just kind of like a walk, and it's more of like maze A, maze B, maze C, and then the event ends, or I'm sorry, the experience ends.
See, that would be fantastic, because that's one of my biggest problems with it. And one thing I remember specifically did in 2018, and that was the year that Hollywood Harry hosted it.
Yeah.
And I remember he was the like final section of the walking part, and it was kind of just them standing around, not doing much. And as you walked past them, I was like, what's happening? It didn't even feel like a scare zone. They were just kind of there as like props, but they were actual scare actors, just slightly moving. I was like, okay, this is something. And I remember him just kind of looking at me, and I walked by, and he's just like, oh well.
Yo, hey Harry, how's it going?
Yeah, pretty much. Thanks for the nice ride. It was great. Appreciate it.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. Even from a thematically, what is going to be the Terror Tram's theme this year? Because I have no clue. I couldn't know. And you mentioned Hollywood Harry. That's one thing that I'm like, could do that again. They could bring it back.
Easy
it's
for
kind
him.
of like one of right. It's one of few Hollywood icons that we have. Not like Orlando. You guys have a whole football team of icons out there. But we got like one or two. So it might be nice to bring that back. But it'll be very interesting to see if that pans out, what the theme for the Terror Tram will actually be.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope I can get out to the Terror Tram before it goes again. I don't know if it'll be this year, and I hope it stays around for a couple of years so I can experience it. It sounds like different for sure. Something we don't have over here.
Definitely different. Good way to put it. All right, and now we're kind of moving on to things are looking good, of course. Outside of the survey telling us that it looks better for HHN, like real things are happening. I believe statistically you guys are the best in the country for COVID rates. So obviously that's great. And you still have mask mandates in place and a lot of policies that help keep the numbers low. But it's looking like you're kind of aiming for June 15th right now, I believe.
Yes, that is the tentative date to be fully open at full capacity. I think they're still going to have mask mandates for the most part. I don't think those are going to go away anytime soon. In fact, I kind of don't want them to go away anytime soon because
I like them.
Yeah. I don't mind them at all, especially when it's cold. You got your nose covered, cozy, so it's fine. But yeah, so June 15th is what we're looking at right now, which is really, really surprising, especially given the year that California had in 2020. Where at times we're at a pretty severe lockdown. And again, I didn't think I'd see the day this year. I thought for sure maybe fall, possibly 2022 we'd start opening things back up. But again, now stadiums are opening back up at limited capacity. Theme parks are opening up at limited capacity, and it's kind of surreal. I got to be honest, it's very surreal to be like, oh wow, okay, life is finally returning to some semblance of normalcy in this year. I thought it would be later on this year, but here we are, June 15th. That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah, that'd be great. And it looks like the vaccination rollout is picking up steam for you guys. So it looks like you really could be on track for that. And if that does happen, that means you have pretty much 3 months of being not completely open, but as normal as we're going to get for now. Before Horror Nights starts. And I think that bodes pretty well towards having a somewhat normal Horror Nights.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And not only that, as a SoCal resident, I'm excited to hopefully have Not Scary Farm back, Queen Mary Dark Harbor, although that's a whole other story. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's not looking good, is it?
Yeah, just in general, not even COVID related. But just having more of our LA Haunted Hayride, having more of our stuff return this year that we definitely missed last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely exciting. I want to make it out and hit as much as I can. But we'll stick to HHN because, I guess that's the name of our podcast.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah.
So now that things are looking good, we kind of have rumored mazes and actual construction going on. So first, let me just really quickly run through like the majorly rumored mazes, and then we'll kind of go a little bit deeper in each of them. So you have Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, Beetlejuice, Haunting of Hill House, All Hallows Evil, The Terror Tram, and The Walking Dead Attraction.
Quite a lineup.
Yeah. It's different. It feels very Hollywood, though, I'll say, with,
Yeah.
That wasn't shade. It just, honestly, that's kind of a Hollywood type lineup, I think.
That's kind of how it always is, right? It's like, mostly IPs and then you got your one or two originals. That's common.
Which the originals are definitely a new thing. I mean, last year in 2 years ago, in 2019 was the first year that we got like multiple original mazes. Every year or so, it seems like it's maybe one, maybe, this last season, however, in 2019, it was cool to get two completely fresh original mazes that weren't really based on anything musical wise. They weren't based on a band. Or folklore like we had La Llorona in the past or El Cucuy. So it was kind of cool to get those, and I'm hoping that trend continues in the following years. This year we have rumored All Hallows Evil, which very much like 2019's Holidays in Hell is based on a scare zone from the same name. But I hope that trend continues because I got to say, man. One thing I love about Orlando is how you guys have a nice balance, a nice mix of IPs and originals. And I hope that they start doing that here more often.
Yeah. And honestly, I thought like right now is probably the perfect time because originals are a bit cheaper. I mean, you don't have to lease the IP. And I know, the budget's going to be tighter this year. So you think this could potentially be the chance where, maybe crack out a few more originals, save a bit of money. But it is a different crowd they're pleasing out there. IPs have always kind of been the thing for HHN, so I think you probably have a crowd that's anticipating big IPs rather than a bunch of originals. So I get there's multiple reasons that it happens, and they do make sense. But yeah, like you, if I go out there, I do want to experience some originals. That'd be nice. So yeah, that's kind of all we have for originals though. This time is All Hallows Evil. So let's talk a little bit more about the IPs, starting with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which we're also supposed to get here in Orlando. You guys have seen a bit more of Leatherface than we have, due to the Titans of Terror being a bigger thing. Is it something you think Hollywood fans are kind of excited to see come back, or are you almost a little fatigued by it?
I'm sure it has its fan base. People always seem pretty excited to get Leatherface and Texas Chainsaw at the event. I myself am a little fatigued by it personally, but I can also see why they would do it. I mean, again, we've seen it. It's probably I want to say maybe the third or fourth time that we've had Leatherface at the event. So they have the props, they have the masks, they have the costumes, they have everything that they need. So from a fiscal standpoint, it makes sense to have him return, especially given that, I mean, a lot of the sets were already previously designed. I mean, the facade we've used before. So it makes sense, but I'm also like, nah. Anytime Texas Chainsaw gets announced, I'm like, nah, okay, all right. We know what scares are coming. We know what moments are coming. So, but again, people love Leatherface. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that are excited for it.
I mean, it's a guy wielding a chainsaw. It just fits at Horror Nights so perfectly. Right. You can't pass it up. I will say though, people also have this faux TCM fatigue here too. I don't get it. They're like, oh, we just had him, which was in 2016, by the way.
I was going to say, it's been a while.
Since like a decade before that. So I don't know where all this like fake, fatigue of Leatherface is coming from. I think they just kind of don't love the property and just won't put it that way. Yeah, but So yeah, kind of same here for very different reasons.
Listen, I gotta say, I feel like some of the Orlando fans are maybe a little spoiled. All right, y'all have it real good over there.
Very spoiled.
So you know, I keep having a bone to pick about 2019's Stranger Things maze, where everyone was like, "Man," and I'm like, "Y'all, you don't even know. You don't even know."
Okay, to be fair, it wasn't great here. Yours was so bad that like it can't be compared to anything else. And I didn't go through it. I only watched the, POVs, but from what I saw in that video and from what I've heard, it was I don't want to say an atrocity, but an atrocity.
Indeed. But I digress.
But yeah, no.
For the record, Jonathan, I liked the Stranger Things 2019.
Thank you.
That's kind of my hill that I was like. Nico has his thing, not liking Killer Clowns. My thing is I liked both Strangers. Oh, well, I didn't get to do 2018, but I'm sure if I did, I would have liked it too.
Well, because that was actually a good house, so of course you would.
Dang.
I liked 2019.
Well, as Mike said, it is better than Clowns. So.
Whose music is that? There he is. The Killer Clowns heel coming out. Oh, you always have to do it.
Well, I'll just let you know, Nico, I'm buying a badass Killer Clowns shirt release from Cavity Colors tomorrow, so I need you to watch your mouth.
Okay, it's a good thing you're buying it for yourself and not for me.
Well,
So.
you're gonna love the movie. It's made for you. Anyways, that has nothing to do with this event, so we'll carry on. So the next one that is rumored, which I mean, to be honest, it's not really a rumor at this point. We've seen that it's coming. And that's going to be Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. As we've talked about a couple times, we have seen logos and facades, and we know that it's Halloween 3. I'm very excited about that. It's a property that I think is an interesting choice because it's the Halloween that doesn't have Michael Myers. But that's why I want to see it. It's a good movie on its own. Obviously, it feels a little weird in the Halloween series, but I really want to see it exist at a Horror Nights because I never expected it to be honest.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to see the legions of fans come out of the woodworks for this to be like, oh my God, the excitement is definitely there. Anything that I've seen about Halloween 3 here in Southern California has been incredibly positive. And to be completely honest, I myself have not seen the movie. I watched the kill count on it, but I haven't seen the actual movie from start to finish. It looks pretty fun though. It looks like, it's different from, what the first two movies were and even some of the rest of the movies were, but it'll definitely be exciting to see them kind of branch away from, the usual Michael Myers. Cause that's another one, like, although I love Halloween and I love Michael Myers as a character, that's another one where I was kind of getting a little fatigued just because it kept coming back over and over and over again. It seemed like kind of a given. However, I must admit, anytime I hear that theme, I'm like, I'm at Horror Nights, I'm smelling the fog, I'm hearing the chainsaws, and I'm waiting in the hour line ready to go. You know what I mean?
I got to say, it's where we differ here in Orlando a bit is because people are upset that we're not getting Halloween again and Michael Myers again. There's the whole spoiled and biased thing coming in. Because, Leatherface can't have him again after a 4-year absence. But, Michael Myers has been gone 2 years. What the hell? Bring him back.
Right.
But yeah, the kill count, it gave you the full essence. I saw it. It was a really good coverage of what the movie is. And so you kind of got it. You get it. And it's not my favorite Halloween movie by any stretch. And I'm not even one of like the huge Halloween 3 fans. Like there's a legion, like you said, that like just loves it. Like people stand the shit out of that movie and swear it's the best Halloween there is. But it's a good movie. And again, I just never thought it would come. So seeing something you would never expect to see at Horror Nights is exciting in its own, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see this rumor just so we have another movie to force Nico to watch that he does not want to watch.
Oh, no.
Don't worry. This one's a little more goofy, spooky.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and it has a really cute jingle that you'll really enjoy. It'll be stuck in your head.
All right.
Okay.
And
you sound
themed
all
around,
right.
themed around like that. The holiday Halloween. So
Yeah.
those are always fun.
Oh, okay.
It's
All
very
right, well,
Halloween-y.
I'll take your word for it.
Oh, you won't take my word for it. You'll see.
The excitement levels are high there.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, exactly.
They're off
You can
the
see
chart.
I love having homework. I love
We still got to get you to watch Terrifier first, just because I want to see your reaction. But,
No,
you know.
I don't want to watch Terrifier. No.
I don't want to watch
anyways,
that either. So.
It is a little disturbing. But going back to another house that is also, well, actually official for Orlando now. It has been fully announced at this point, and that's Beetlejuice, which we kind of thought for a while there you might not get it, but it looks like you probably are. So congrats. I think most people are excited.
I am stoked for one. I am definitely super stoked, especially seeing some of the walkthroughs of your guys' version in Orlando. It seems like a lot of fun, a lot of fun. This is a property that I've been kind of hoping for the past couple of years. And in 2019, we kind of randomly had Beetlejuice make an appearance at the event on Thursdays. They had a 80s themed Throwback Thursdays event where that night they would have an 80s band come out, and Beetlejuice was kind of the pseudo host of the evening. So when I saw that, I was like, man, y'all better give us a maze one year that's Beetlejuice themed, because it's perfect. It's just perfect material. It's one of those properties where it's not the scariest of properties, but it is super fun. So I am really, really, really hoping that we actually get Beetlejuice out here, that it's part of the lineup. And we had a few peeks at some facades last year. I didn't really see one that screamed Beetlejuice to me. One that looked kind of like a book. I'm like, oh, maybe that's the book of the handbook of the recently deceased. But again, I am crossing my fingers so hard that we get it out here, because if not, I'll have to experience it in Orlando. I'll come visit you guys. But I really hope that we get it down here.
I think the Orlando one will do the job at worst. So, worst case scenario, you good, you'll get it.
Definitely.
I think one thing I'm really excited about for Beetlejuice in Hollywood is that I feel like they're going to have a very different take than we had, because the way Orlando did it is not what anyone would have expected it to be.
Right.
So I'm sure Hollywood's not going to just suddenly rip off a very similar thing. I think it's going to be more straightforward, kind of following the story.
We tend to do a lot of quote unquote book report mazes out here in Hollywood, where from beginning to end is what we get. So I'm definitely very curious to see how they'll do it, how they'll interpret it out here as well, because it tends to be that I always say that if we combine Hollywood and Orlando mazes, you get like the complete story of the maze. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Or of the IP. So it'll be very interesting to see how Hollywood tackles it.
The Maitland house as a facade would be fantastic as a start. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yes, definitely.
That is actually, I'm not going to say anything else because I don't want to spoiler tag this with anything that happens in Orlando. So we'll just move on. Never mind. So this next one is also rumored to be coming to Orlando. Another crossover, and that's Haunting of Hill House, which I know myself and Mike are very excited for.
Mm-hmm.
It's a property we really enjoy, and we think a lot of people disagree with us, but we really think this could work well as a Horror Nights house. The way the story's laid out, and there's a lot of people like to call them hidden ghosts that you can take advantage of, and kind of like the normal Orlando way, at least, of kind of making it almost an original style. You can tie that in very well, which I'm sure Hollywood will do as well, because you kind of need it to fill it in.
Definitely. And maybe you guys can clear this up for me, because I got kind of confused when we were speculating in 2020. Is it based on the first season, or is it based on Bly Manor, or is it a mishmash of both?
It's supposed to just, I'm speaking on Orlando side, and I assume it'll be the same for Hollywood, but it's supposed to just be Hill House.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I think that would be great. I mean, from a setting a standpoint alone, you know what I mean? Like when did you guys get Crimson Peak? Did you guys get that one in Orlando?
No.
Well, we got it here in Hollywood, and visually it was completely stunning. It was one of the most beautiful houses I've ever walked through here in Hollywood. So from that standpoint alone, I'm curious to see what they can do with The Haunting of Hill House. And I completely agree. I think there's enough of a rich lore and there's enough characters in there to get some really good scares. And I'm really torn because I want Haunting of Hill House to be in a sound stage. We have one sound stage that we use out here pretty frequently. I also, though, could see Beetlejuice being a really good soundstage house. But I think Haunting of Hill House would probably benefit the most from that controlled environment.
Yeah, I think this is something that needs kind of the large, elaborate, and like you say, like a controlled setting. Like I think
Absolutely.
These massive sets, you really need a soundstage for if you really want to pull this property off. Well, should I say, you want a soundstage.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I want a huge facade. I mean, I want that huge foyer with the staircases and everything. It needs to be huge. And, that's kind of a rarity here in Hollywood. I know Orlando does scale really, really well. And it's always super impressive that what you guys can fit in your sound stages and how tall things can be built out there. So I'm really pulling for this house to be actually for this property to be part of the lineup, but also if we get it, I want it to be in a soundstage so bad.
Yeah, definitely best case scenario in my opinion. Also, speaking of homework for Nico, we got to get this series started for you, pal.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we move on, Jonathan, every once in a while I learn something about Halloween Horror Nights that I did not know, and it's usually about the Hollywood event because I had no clue there was a Crimson Peak maze in 2015. You just taught me something that I did not know about Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh, nice. Well, there you go. Yeah, it was kind of random, but again, very, very beautiful maze. There's walkthroughs of it. Check it out. It's actually like just a visual feast.
And now Mike has homework.
Yeah, no, I do. Yeah. Got to watch a walkthrough.
All right. So that actually kind of wraps up the rumors for the mazes. There are a few more things. One of them being the Terror Tram, which, I mean, we kind of talked at length already. So I don't know if anyone else has anything else to add to that. I really don't. We discussed it for probably 10 minutes already. So
yeah.
The other thing being the potential return of the Walking Dead attraction.
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say not so nice things about it. So you carry on.
No, yeah, let's get your review, Jonathan. I want your review of the Walking Dead attraction.
I'm right there with you. Just from what I've heard, you just say right now. I think we share the same sentiment about this.
Okay, cool.
It was. It's a beautiful, beautiful maze when you go through it the very first time. My biggest problem with it is that it just kept repeating, and I keep going back and forth with my love for The Walking Dead as an IP at the event. Anyways, I know that a lot of people got fatigued from it. I got fatigued from the show. Even I just kind of stopped watching it. I was like, okay, I'm kind of done with this. So to have the same property come back with different mazes, that's kind of cool. But then to have the same property come back with the same route every time, that was the most annoying thing to me. And, when they first built the attraction, they teased like, well, we can change the rooms anytime we want to. And then they never did.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on. So, yeah, that was a little disappointing. So I think, though, unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess if you're a fan of it, The Walking Dead returning this season is kind of a given. It's still there. It can very easily be opened back up. So I think, again, even just fiscally, right? That's one less maze they have to build. Mm-hmm. It's already there. You just flip the switch to on and you hire the performers back and ta-da, you have a maze.
Yeah, it makes too much sense not to happen as much as I would not like it to happen. I mean, I want it to happen operationally because it's going to eat more people, which allows more people into the park, which makes shorter waits for everything else. So it's kind of a necessity. I just wish it was something better, basically.
Right. And again, I want to stress and I want to say again, from a design standpoint, I love it. I mean, lighting wise, set design wise, it did a lot of awesome things. I mean, the burning cabin alone is worth seeing in person. But again, the fact that it's been the same thing for years has really been disappointing.
There's also a real, even during Horror Nights where they, I think, claim to amp it up a bit, there's a lack of scare actors and scares in there.
Absolutely.
it flies during like normal operating hours, but during horror nights, you can't do that.
Right. You go from one zombie to two zombies in a room. Whoa, you know,
intense, real intense. But it's beautiful because it's like huge. The sets look great, but it's almost too spacious for scares. You know, there's not like typical boo holes like you'd find in a maze or a house. It's kind of just like this beautiful walkthrough where scare actors kind of pop out 10 feet away from you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's the Walking Dead attraction for you in a nutshell.
And that's all that has heavily been rumored. I don't know, Jonathan, is there anything we're missing, you think, or anything you've potentially heard or seen or read?
No, you guys have it all pretty much covered. I just had a random thought, and I'm sure we'll kind of cover it once we get into kind of the construction stuff. But I know that All Hallows Evil is rumored to come back. I could also see them, though, however, especially with the location that's going on in the Parisian Courtyard with the construction there. I can see them bringing back Holidays in Hell. And I honestly wouldn't be super upset about it. Again, it's a maze that they already have completely built, previously. So they have all the plans for it. They know how to do it. They have all the costumes for it. But I could see them bringing that back. But that's just my thought. I haven't heard that anywhere. I haven't really confirmed that anywhere either.
I'd love that because I really enjoyed 2018's take on Holidays in Hell. I don't know if you guys would have a bit of fatigue for a third year in a row having the same original property. I'd like it, though. Yeah,
I wouldn't mind it.
So that brings us then to the actual construction and things we've seen happen. And the one I want to start with is kind of bringing us back just a few rumors ago to where there was some work apparently being done in Soundstage 29. Well, today, Justin, or HHN Mannix, on Twitter, did some snooping like he usually does and finds out a lot of really good info, and noticed that the bricks really match Hill House bricks. So there could be something there to where, just as you wanted, Haunting of Hill House may be in Soundstage 29.
Well, that's perfect. I actually haven't seen that. I'm looking at his tweet right now. It does. There's quite a striking resemblance there for sure. I know that space has kind of been, for the most part, during the off season is for special events, right? That's kind of their new special event space.
Okay.
And this is interesting, though. This is the first I've seen of anything going on in terms of construction activity there. And it does seem to match up with what's on screen. So that's pretty damn exciting.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I mean, it's something that you obviously said you wanted. I think it would work great. I think everyone kind of agrees that this would just be a perfect soundstage house. And I literally, maybe 30 minutes before starting recording this, saw that. And I was like, oh, this would be great to include in the show. So thanks, Justin. Perfect time to get that tweet out and for me to find it and put it on this episode.
Yeah, Justin does work, man. He does a lot of good work.
It's
a
incredible.
lot of my episodes are formed by his work. So shout out to you, and give him a follow at HHN Mannix. Good job, Justin.
If you want to come over to Orlando for a bit just to snoop around and find some info, we'd be cool with it. We'd appreciate it. So moving on with construction, and I do want to say this is going to be my weakest point about Hollywood is locations. So you probably going to need a little help from you moving on here, Jonathan.
No
Not
problem,
that I haven't already needed your help the whole episode, but more so in this section. So I'll just go to the one that's really easy to talk about because, like I said, we've kind of confirmed it. That's going to be the Water World or Water World, where we'll get Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, it's funny. I'm glad that, when it comes to construction updates, I personally really hate it when people like try to peek over walls or, try to go out of the way to like climb up stuff to get a view of whatever's happening. But in this instance, it's very evident. It's very clear. We see the Rose of Sharon that's peeking up from behind the wall. We've kind of had the rumors started last year when people were starting noticing some of the 4-leaf clover, the shamrock stuff. I'm excited. That spot is typically a pretty great spot for mazes. It's typically pretty long. So it's going to be cool to see how they can flesh it out and include several moments from that property in there. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. And again, it's a great spot for mazes.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but exactly what we saw that kind of made us fully know that it was Halloween 3, and that's that we can now see there's a legit, it says Silver Shamrock Novelties. So it's not just the Shamrock like the original photo, but it actually says the company name now that's on the factory. So
well, there you go. Yeah.
That's solid. We know it's coming. This is also going to be Nico's favorite location just because he thinks Waterworld is the best theme park show in the world, I believe.
Yeah, that is true.
Hey, I'm right there with you, Nico. I love Waterworld. I miss it so much. I can't wait for it to come back.
Gotta love a balsa wood plane flying at your face.
Good times every time.
It's a lot of fun, but I'll take the house over it. Thank you. All right, next one. We do have the Mummy Queue, which people believe is going to be where Texas Chainsaw Massacre is. Again, I don't really know much about Hollywood's layout. All I know is this is in the lower lot. How does this usually work out as a house location or maze location?
It works out pretty well. That seems to be kind of the quote unquote heavy hitter spot for most years. For instance, in 2019, we had the Killer Clowns from Outer Space there. Previously, we had The Shining down there. We had The Exorcist down there. So it works out pretty well as a maze spot, which is really fascinating too, considering where it's at. The space itself is kind of like a long, narrow space between two buildings. So it's always really impressive to see what they can do there construction wise, especially with something like The Exorcist, where you're kind of going through the same room over and over again, or even The Shining, where you're kind of exploring different parts of the Overlook Hotel. They do a pretty damn good job of using that space and maximizing it to its full potential. So it's pretty exciting that we're going to get, I guess, Texas Chainsaw there. We never really have had that in that space. So that'll be kind of a first. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it there.
It's always nice to mix things up. I always get excited when a property is in the same location. But yeah, every time I look at like construction photos of this place, I'm always very confused how it becomes a maze because it's just like this tent crammed in the middle of two buildings. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Totally.
But yeah, I guess it works out well. So I mean, who am I to judge?
Yeah, and it's funny. I remember when our Revenge of the Mummy, the ride just opened up. That was part of the extended queue that they had, like switchbacks there. So back in the day, I lined up there for the Mummy when it opened up, and now it's just totally a maze space. They don't really ever extend the queue that much.
Wow. I mean, I was wondering why it's called Mummy Queue because it doesn't look like a queue at all. That makes sense. It was an extended queue.
There you go.
Fair enough. And the next location it's actually two of them. Apparently there are two tents that are out in the Curious George parking lot.
Yes, this is brand new this year, and honestly, it surprised the hell out of me. I was when somebody first posted the photo of it, I was like, nah, that's a location that's kind of out of the way. It's technically on the tram route. It's kind of like a logistical nightmare to get there. However, there's different ways to get back there via backstage. They're really going out of their way to make this happen for us. I can say that much just because of where it's actually located. I am very curious to see how they're actually going to get us there, because the route that comes to mind, that's probably the easiest, quote unquote, easiest route to take would be to go down to where you queue up for the studio tour and then walk the path that's down there, which is kind of at an incline too, to get up to that space that's behind the Curious George parking lot. And again, it shares the same route as the tram. Whenever the tram comes back into the loading station, it drives along that same route. So if we have the Terror Tram and we have foot traffic back there, that to me is like, wow, you guys are really risking it to give us that location. But it'll be very interesting to see how they get us back there.
Yeah, we don't need to risk any more Terror Tram accidents, I don't think.
Right, yeah. One and done with that. That's fine.
We know what that did to Horror Nights last time, so. And I'm happy you brought that part up because I've seen several people speculate that we can't have a Terror Tram this year if they're going to have a house out there, or two houses out there. So do you think it is possible to still run the Terror Tram if that's the location?
I think the only way to make that happen is to have foot traffic come from a completely different route. Maybe, behind Waterworld. I know that there's paths that kind of go there.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. I'm honestly, again, when they announced, when we got more confirmation that like, oh my God, maze walls are actually going up there, I was completely blown away. Again, just from a safety standpoint, I'm a stickler and I love operations and safety, like just trying to figure out how things work. So when they first had the tents go up back there, I was like, what in the hell? How are they going to pull this off? So, I mean, I guess it's possible. It's risky, but it's possible.
Yeah, I do remember when the photos first started coming out, when they looked like tents, but you didn't really know. A lot of people were trying to shoot it down as like those aren't going to be houses. There's no way they aren't putting mazes out there. But hey, here we are, looking like it's going to happen. So
yeah, and so we have confirmation that walls are going up around one of the tents. We have that second tent out there. I myself personally am not going to call that second tent a maze tent quite yet. Okay. Until we start seeing construction going on there, because another thing that's in my mind is like, well, performers need a break area down there, unless they use the actual garage for that. Mm-hmm. I don't know where they're going to actually get suited up and ready to go. So until we see walls in that second tent that just popped up, I'm going to call that maybe potentially some sort of backstage area. But if not, again, I mean, I was surprised that we were getting the first tent in the first place. So who knows?
I mean, you bring up a good point, though. If there is no other space back there, tent would make the most sense, of course. So, yeah, we're gonna roll with what you say. That currently one maze out there.
Yeah, one confirmed, one possible. Exactly. Yeah.
The next one, actually, before we talk about the remaining one, I did want to bring up before I forget. People seem really shocked that it seems very likely at this point that the Metro sets will not be used as a maze location. Obviously, it might be too early to fully go out on a limb and say that, but people feel pretty confident about it at this point.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing, and it does seem to check out, especially, if you reference the survey, right? They list 6 mazes. Well, we've already covered those maze locations already without including the backlot. It's surprising because the backlot has been such a great location for not only mazes themselves, but also for scare zones. And the backlot has been a huge, huge part of the event because you get a scare zone walking there. You get another scare zone when you finally get there. And then you get 3 maze tents down there. However, last year, it seemed like there was potential for 4 maze tents going down there because we had, just kind of going back to 2019, down in that area, we had the Creepshow tent, we had the Ghostbusters tent, and we had the Universal Monsters tent. Those are the 3 typical maze locations down there. However, in a couple of drone flybys that we got in 2020, there was a new tent that had popped up behind the Creepshow tent, which was a spot that was never used for a maze. So including the 3 spots that they already typically use down there, that could have been a potential 4th maze location, which is great because it's a nice wide open area down there. You can fit a lot of people down there. You can have the majority of your event take place back there. So to not have it come back at all, I mean, if any year it's going to happen, it's this year, right, with kind of a reduced maze count. But it is definitely very, very surprising because the backlot has been such a key part of Horror Nights for the past couple of years.
Do you think that could potentially mean no Toxic Tunnel either?
Yeah. I think we'll lose the Toxic Tunnel. We'll lose the Gauntlet Zone that's down there. But I'm ready for the Toxic Tunnel to go. So
yeah, it's a running joke on this show every time we talk about Hollywood. We have to bring up the Toxic Tunnel.
Yeah. This would have been 4 X's this year, I think, in the Toxic Tunnel.
Well, I'm trying to hit 20 X's, so we gotta keep this thing going. I'm not ready to let it die.
Yeah, maybe it'll come back. It seems like that's like Murdy's favorite spot to like kind of poke at people with. So Toxic Tunnel 20 coming soon.
So yeah, sorry, Mike. That means potentially no. I don't even remember what show you. American Gladiators scare zone for you.
Oh, no Gauntlet Zone. Oh no.
But we do have another location that we have seen construction more recently, and that's the Parisian Courtyard. I have seen people speculate potentially All Hallows Eve. I'm gonna be honest. I've looked into why. I can't find out why they specifically think this. It doesn't seem like anything from the construction itself would imply that. But that's what I've seen most people say. So I thought I'd just mention that really quick.
Yeah, and I think that's mostly stemming from the fact that it's kind of been a trend now, right? We've got Holidays in Hell that was a scare zone. Then Holidays in Hell became a maze. Last year I keep saying last year, damn it. In 2019, we had All Hallows Evil as a scare zone in the same spot that was the Holidays in Hell scare zone. So I think the thought behind it is, well, I guess that's the next one to become a fully fleshed out maze, since kind of the legwork's already done there. However, yeah, we don't know what it is thus far. I mean, we see a tent. It could be one of the rumored mazes that are in the lineup. You know, maybe it's Beetlejuice. Maybe it's Haunting of Hill House. You know, it could be anything else. So I don't know if they're going to go with the original route for that spot, although I could definitely see them doing it. Again, I could definitely see them bringing back Holidays in Hell just to save some money. Or they could go the All Hallows Evil route, because that's kind of, you know, they can very easily just make that kind of prop vomit and just put, you know, Halloween stuff everywhere.
Well, I'm happy you did bring up a reasoning behind why people would infer that that's potentially All Hallows Evil, because I was very frustrated to why I could not figure out why. Now I understand the potential thought process, and that eases my mind.
There you go. I'm glad I could help you sleep at night a little better.
But yeah, it sounds like this one's not as definite as, well, obviously Halloween 3 or even Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it sounds like we really only kind of have two locations we're pretty confident on, I'd say, at this point.
Definitely, yeah. Everything else is pretty much up in the air. And so it's going to be pretty exciting to see what clues, if any, we can get as to what's going where.
And I think, is that tougher for you guys? Because, you know, they usually fully enclose it. I don't know how much... I follow Hollywood in years past, but not enough where I remember how much you see. Do you think there's a point where we're going to start figuring things out more before we actually get announcements or just leaks?
I think so. You know, the two mazes, or the two rumored maze spots that are in the Curious George parking lot, those are in broad view of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not very hard to get back there. So I can definitely see somebody seeing a facade there and being like, oh, it's this.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In years prior, it was a little harder to get kind of a good feel for what mazes were going where. Mostly because with like the Waterworld queue, for instance, right? The facade that usually goes there is on the other side of public view. So that is kind of like hidden. The mazes that are on the back lot, those are kind of easy to see from the studio tour. But again, you kind of have to be quick about, like, you know, being in the right spot at the right time to be like, oh, that's Ghostbusters or what have you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the Parisian Courtyard, that one's pretty obvious because if you're in the park, you see it pretty easily. But again, it's just going to come down to, like, what kind of facade are they building? In the past, you know, they were building a Universal Monsters facade, and I don't think anybody guessed that because it was like a tower looking thing. We're like, what the fuck is this? Or even, Dracula Untold. So it's kind of a crapshoot. Although I think, again, the Curious George parking lot mazes, that's kind of a given. The Mummy Q one, that one's pretty usually easy to see. And then, yeah, the Parisian Courtyard maze is typically like more accessible. But again, it just depends on the property, how easy it is to identify what it actually is.
Yeah, of course. Hopefully we just start getting some announcement for you guys, so we don't have to really worry about that too much. That'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely not expecting anything personally until like June. I don't think they'll give us anything because Orlando is like happening no matter what. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're gonna fix it no matter what happens.
Exactly. Yeah, we'd have to get struck by a meteor, and then go into like nuclear fallout for them to even consider canceling it at this point. You know what I mean?
Even then, maybe we'll just like wear 3 masks and they'll let us in. Who knows?
Right. They'll just do another HHN Light event, scan you for radiation and let you in.
The thermometers are dosimeters now. 3.6 rock in. All right, you're good. Come on.
All right,
All right, let's not wish that into existence. The world's already weird enough as is. Pretend that didn't happen. Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at for speculation and I guess construction at this point. That's kind of all we have. Like you said, we're probably still a bit of a ways off for any kind of official announcements for you guys. So unless anything gets seen, I'm not sure we're going to have too much to say about Hollywood, unless, of course, anything leaks out. You know, stuff typically does at some point. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited that it just looks like it's happening in a larger scale capacity than just an HHN Light.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, again, just the fact that it's April 2021 and we've got 6 mazes to speculate about. And then even the Terror Tram, it feels good. It feels good to kind of be back on this path, especially given 2020 around this time, we were kind of like, this isn't going away. You know what I mean? This is when we started to realize what was going on. I will be honest though. I think we were still saying HHN would probably happen because we just kind of didn't expect Universal to, cancel it. We thought they'd force it through, but no. So let's hope that doesn't happen again and things continue to trend in the right direction and we don't have any crazy variant put us in lockdowns or anything like that. Absolutely. Fingers crossed because I'm trying to be in the fog again, man. I miss it.
Yeah. I mean, we got our HHN Light, but there was no fog. It was during the day. It wasn't the same. It was not the same.
It was a unique experience, but I'm ready for the real thing.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Exactly. I'm fully vaxxed. I'm waiting. I'm excited for this. I'm going all out. I'm going to lick everything in sight.
Please don't.
Build up that real good immunity to everything.
Take off that mask and inhale a whole thing of fog.
Oh, it'll be great. Probably pass out, but it'll be great. I'll love it. But I mean, hopefully, I'm going to try to make it out there. I know Mike is definitely considering it, depending how things are, obviously. If things are like fully open and we can go out there, I would definitely be down for it.
Yeah, please do. And let me know. We'll meet up. I'll give you guys a tour and apologize for everything Hollywood has to offer. And then, I'll go visit you guys in Orlando too. And we'll have a great time over there.
Listen, we knock on Hollywood a lot, but you don't get it. Not an apology level. We just like to throw some shade at it. It's not as good to Orlando as us, of course, but it's not like it's some bum event. It's still a lot of fun. It's still a lot of fun.
Event.
I've always wanted to do Hollywood because it just seems like it's so different than Orlando. Like just basically the layout and how you have mazes on the back lot and things like that. Just seems like some just totally different than what I've ever experienced.
Definitely. And I'll tell you this much, all right? So I have a friend who grew up in Orlando, who lived in Orlando, and in fact came to live here a couple of years and is now back in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Horror Nights Hollywood with him, and he just had this face the whole time. And I'm like, dude, what is with you, man? Like, come on, it's fun. And he's like, it was all right. And then I finally went to Universal Orlando in 2018, and I shot him a text, and I was like, you know what? I understand. I am so sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Now that you say it, we can go with it. Correct. Yes.
But yeah, much love to both events. They're both great. They're both fun and definitely in their own ways. And I'd be happy to have you down here and we can talk all about it, man. It'll be good. Yeah, for sure. And likewise, whenever you make your trip over here, hopefully you do this year, we'll share some drinks and enjoy HHN. I love it. Right, and then, hey,
no, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I'm kidding. While we have you here for this one, we've actually talked about this, but we plan on bringing you back probably a couple more times to kind of keep everyone updated with Hollywood. We do it the best we can, but we don't know as much as you. So having you on here is a fantastic resource, and it's fun chatting with you. So we'll probably hear from you a couple more times on the show this year. Awesome, gentlemen. Yeah, I'm happy to do it. And again, I'm just happy to be speculating about Horror Nights here in California. It's definitely refreshing, and I hope it keeps trending this way. So I'll be here whenever you guys need me.
Absolutely. Took the words out of my mouth, Duff. That's exactly what I was going to say. Okay, cool. Yeah. Not that I didn't trust you or anything, but I had to. You thought I was wrapping up the show? No. I mean, you kind of got that higher pitched voice you get when you start wrapping up the show. So I wasn't sure. It kind of felt like you were going for it. No. But I should wrap up the show now. Jonathan, you got any projects or anything going on you'd like to talk about?
Just the Hauntline's back. We took a little hiatus, but we're back on YouTube. I'm finally going to get around to editing some podcasts that I've had, in the chamber and just kind of waiting. So I'm going to get to those. Our next episode, funny enough, is going to be about Horror Nights Hollywood and some of the updates that we've had since our first episode back. And you can be on the lookout for a couple of Horror Nights history episodes coming up. Some Not Scary Farm history. We're going to get real nerdy this season on the Hauntline. I'll just say that much.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that for sure.
That's right down my wheelhouse. I love when we get into real nerdy.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we do it weekly, baby.
And as always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at HHN365 and leave us a voicemail at 407-906-3405. Once again, Jonathan, thanks so much for joining us. We always love it when you come on and talk some Hollywood.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure, gentlemen. I'm always here for you.
All right. Well, and we'll be back next week and we'll see you in the streets.